let's get on to the Cup Series 2021 season preview. Let's look through the categories, and then we'll look at the schedule before we get into our predictions. Right. Most wins. We're adding two new things for this one specifically for the Cup Series. It's the big one. So we've got the underdog winner pick and where that will take place, and first-time winners, if there are any, and how many are there going to be, and where are they going to be collecting those wins as well. We're making it a little bit harder for ourselves with that part of the element, but if we get the actual winner right, we won't complain. Surprise driver of the year, biggest disappointment, bounce back driver of the year, rookie of the year. Not too many contenders for that one. I think it's only two for right now, if I'm not mistaken, between Chase Briscoe and Anthony Alfredo. And then we've got regular season champion, all 16 playoff drivers. See if we can get somewhere close to that with this insane lineup that we have coming into this season. I'm still not decided on mine yet. And of course, we've got the championship 4 and the champion of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. That's all coming up, but we have the schedule to look at here first, Kyle. It's going to be a drastically different schedule than what we are accustomed to seeing on the Cup Series calendar. Starts off with the Clash being on the road course. Of course, we've talked about that. Then, of course, the Daytona 500 this upcoming Sunday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. It's going to be one heck of a celebration on that one. And then we've got starting it off in Daytona once again. We're staying down there with the Daytona road course. Remember, Auto Club Speedway off the calendar due to California COVID-19 restrictions and everything. So they've had to move that date into Daytona, into Florida, where we all know how they are handling the situation down there. If you watch the Super Bowl, you will understand how everything's going on down there. Ooh. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well on their Super Bowl victory. I have to point that out there because it really is the kickoff to Speed Weeks, as it is for many, many years now. And it's always nice to get that out of the way before the real things, the main thing really happens. NASCAR, Speed Weeks, everything like that. Then we stay still in Florida, but we move to a new track, Homestead Miami Speedway. Long gone are the championship finale days of Homestead Miami Speedway. It is the third race of the season, moving it up even closer to the beginning of the season now than ever before. Then they go out west for their 2-race stint. Not really the West Coast swing in this case for this season. Only Las Vegas and Phoenix there to start off the month of March. Then Atlanta Motor Speedway, Bristol Motor Speedway on the dirt here on March 28th. If you've seen the pictures, you understand that it is fully covered in dirt now. They're getting it ready. No comment on what we think on that right now. Then we've got Martinsville Speedway under the lights once again here in the spring. Going to be a fun one nonetheless on a Saturday night. Then we got the back-to-back with the triple kind of short track events, the Bristol Dirt. Then we've got Martinsville, then Richmond here. Check out our track grading list as well, the tier ranking. We ranked all these tracks, some higher, some lower. We've already mentioned some of them. Richmond being one of them, ended up in the average category. Let us know in the comments if you agree with that statement or not. We'll see if Richmond can kind of get back on track here for no pun intended there for the next year's tier maker. Then we've got Talladega there on April 25th. We've got Kansas on May 2nd, and then Darlington on Mother's Day. That is moving up with the throwback weekend being that weekend. Now it is no longer the not Memorial Day weekend, is it? Labor Day weekend. May 9th there at Darlington Speedway, getting 2 races once again on the calendar as well. So that's a nice added change. They went there 3 times last year. Let's not forget because of the COVID break. We've got Dover for its one and only race once again on May 16th. The Circuit of the Americas, one of the new big arrival tracks on the calendar this season, making its debut across all 3 series in the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series. On May 23rd, the Cup Series visits there on Sunday. Going to be a very fun race to watch at that facility there in Texas. We've got Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coca-Cola 600 on May 30th. Memorial Day weekend for that one. So we've got that one correctly. It's the biggest day in motorsports. We've got Monaco, Indy 500, hopefully, and we've got the Coca-Cola 600. So hopefully that comes back into fruition this season with all 3 happening on the same day. That was definitely something we missed this past year. Sonoma was not on the calendar last season due to the delay in the season and COVID-19. So they are back on the schedule this season on June 6th. Then we go to Texas Motor Speedway as a bit of a weird date there, moving it a bit later on in the season here to June. It's going to be hot. It's going to be slick.
That's the All-Star race, is it not?
We've got the All-Star Open and the All-Star race for that one. So it's a bit of an off date in terms of Texas Motor Speedway time, but it's only going down to one Cup Series race for points this season. We've got the All-Star race there with Texas Motor Speedway. Then after that, Fox ends their broadcasting schedule with the All-Star race there. Then Nashville picks it up there on June 20th with Nashville Super Speedway.
New track to start it off for NBC.
Going to be a fun one to watch there. See how Nashville kind of handles itself in its return to the sport. We'll see if the track leads up to expectations or if it exceeds or if it's definitely down in the dumpster. We'll see what happens with Nashville. Hopefully the Fairgrounds is the next Nashville track on the calendar for all forms of NASCAR racing. We've got Pocono here with the doubleheader weekend on the Saturday and Sunday, June 26th and June 27th. Then we go to Road America for the July 4th weekend. A bit of a shake-up there. It's been kind of all over the place over the past couple of years, and it's been Daytona, Indianapolis, and now it is Road America. We'll see how they handle that on the big network as well. It's an interesting time slot for them for Road America to get such a premium date on America's holiday, America's birthday. We'll see how that race lives up to expectations. The Cup Series has never raced at Road America, so we'll see how they handle that. Then Atlanta Motor Speedway there for its second date already on July 11th. So going back there in the hot summer months in Atlanta, Georgia, oh boy, it's going to be slick down there in that race. It's going to be a handful for the drivers.
Those poor tires.
Oh God, they're going to be shot after leaving pit road. They won't even get up to speed, and
they're going to need like 15 sets.
At least, you'd think. And then we got New Hampshire Motor Speedway on July 18th, and then we've got the summer break after that one, hopefully for the Olympics in Tokyo.
Hopefully.
With NBC getting that scheduling time there. They get a couple of weeks off. The drivers get to enjoy their summer breaks. They've been really wanting this for a couple of years now, at least, before NASCAR's changed the schedule this season. Then we come back with Watkins Glen returning to the calendar. Was not on it this previous season as well due to COVID-19. Fingers crossed come August 8th, my mom's birthday. Shout out to my mom. It's going to be there at Watkins Glen. Mom, you may have to get a little bit on the wayside on that day. Watkins Glen may take priority. It may take priority. Then we go to another road course back-to-back here with the Indianapolis road course. No longer on the famed Brickyard Oval circuit. We are going to the road course for the Cup Series. We'll see how that makes its debut. The Xfinity Series raced on it last season
as well.
Crucial time in the calendar as well. We're getting down to crunch time here. Yep. The fourth and third final races before the playoffs start. The second to last race before the playoffs is on August 22nd at Michigan for its one and only date. Thank you for that one. Very well done on NASCAR on that part. And then we end the regular season, 25 races, comes down to the 26th at Daytona for the Oval, the big one. We saw the fireworks this past year, how it all ended up. Incredible season finale, regular season finale. I'm expecting something similar, especially with the schedule that we have this season. I'm sure it will go down to the wire with a few mere points as it shuffles in the final laps there. We were kind of deprived of it a little bit with a big wreck late last year. Hopefully that's not the case, so we get to see a photo finish maybe for that last final spot in on points for the playoffs. Then we start the playoffs on September the 5th. It looks pretty similar as it did last season, not going to lie. They made the shake-up last year. Yeah. Exactly. And Darlington kicks it off with a pretty great first round. Darlington, no longer the throwback weekend here, but still a great way to start the playoffs. Richmond and Bristol. Whew, what a round that is. Richmond, it depends on if it hits or misses this season. Hopefully it's a hit, and that can be the banger of the first round that we kind of were anticipating this past season. But left a little bit to be desired.
Worst nightmare of a round.
Exactly. Hopefully he can keep it together come the playoff time, and hopefully he doesn't actually fail pre-race inspection at Darlington to set himself up for a poor round. Then we move on to the round of 12 starting at Las Vegas on September 26th, going into Talladega and ending it with the Charlotte Roval as per usual this past season, staying intact. The only change to the playoffs this season is just a quick switcheroo here. Texas leads off the round of 8 on October 17th. Then it goes to Kansas as the third to last race and Martinsville as the final cutoff race, as it should be. The Xfinity 500 under the lights as it goes into the nighttime, as it is going to be in the fall. October 31st on Halloween. It's going to be a scary night for some of these guys to hopefully make it to that championship 4, and we'll see who ends up in Phoenix in that next week come the checkered flag at Martinsville. Going to be another one as a much-watch event as the season winds down. Then we go to Phoenix for the championship finale on November the 7th. Phoenix, yep, as the championship finale. But that's the schedule for the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. Largely unchanged in the playoffs, but everything else for the 26 races looks a heck
Regular
of a lot
season
different.
is very spicy.
And it's going to make these predictions a heck of a lot harder with 7 road courses on the calendar this season. Going up from 3 to
Bristol
7 is
dirt,
a massive jump, and losing a Bristol race that we can maybe guarantee on who's going to be doing well. We have no idea who's going to be doing well around 250 laps around Bristol in the dirt. Oh boy.
It's going to be an asphalt race by the end of that thing.
Oh God, help me, Lord, give me strength. So this is making these predictions up in the air, at least for me. I'm sure for yourself too, Kyle, because there's nothing to go off of for a lot of these races. A lot of unknowns, a lot of wild races could be on the cards. Mainly the ones that we haven't seen. They're going to be having practice at the new tracks that we're going to as well, so that will be not as much of a freak show. A lot of new faces
and new places too.
Yes, we have quite a few new faces and new places. A lot of driver movement, a lot of crew chief movement, a lot of different things over the off season and this past year that we had to keep track of.
2 new teams that are supposed to be competitive as well. A third as well at the back of the pack.
Oh God, give me a headache, Kyle. This is too much. Too much.
Okay.
Let's get into the thing. Yeah. Let's get into the preview. The most wins. We'll start off with that. I'll let you go first because I've been talking for a little bit. But who do you have for the most wins of 2021?
I think this guy is probably most people's pick to win the most races because there's a certain discipline that is especially important this year with the 7 road courses. And of course, that's road course ability. And we've seen a couple of drivers dominate on those the last few seasons. And that's obviously Chase Elliott, but Martin Truex Jr. as well to a lesser extent. When you look at Chase Elliott, everything kind of crescendoed last year to that final race. And you would expect them to take that momentum into this year and continue with it. So Chase Elliott is my winningest driver of the 2021 season. And I'm going to say he wins.
How many? That's the big thing.
I've been battling between 6 or 7. I'll go 6. I think we're going to get a little bit spicy on the road courses, a little bit more than maybe some people are expecting. So I'll say Chase Elliott wins 6, and that's the most this season.
Okay, fair play. I'm going to go with Chase Elliott as well with the most wins this season. You know, Kevin Harvick has kind of been the guy with that for the past couple of seasons, but Chase Elliott had a transformative 2020 season to end it off. And, you know, with the road courses, obviously his strength compared to the competition, but I think he also picks up some wins elsewhere at the other tracks this season. I don't think he's just going to be a one-man show on the road courses and just get them all there. Of course, he can't win every single one. That's just too hard to predict. He could, but realistically, something will happen in those races that will jeopardize Chase Elliott's hopes of winning that race. And, you know, they may experiment with 1 or 2 of them just to try something out and it maybe doesn't work, but Chase Elliott has the most wins for me this season, and I'm going with 7 for Chase Elliott this season. I think he's going to win a boatload of races, man. It's going to be a touchdown worth and an extra point. Like, Chase Elliott is definitely the guy to watch this season, and I was kind of skeptical of this guy from, you know, coming up to the Cup Series, and I just didn't know if he was clutch. But, I mean, these playoffs in 2020, man, he proved me wrong, and I think quite a few people wrong. Obviously, his fan base were loyal to him from the very beginning, so I appreciate that. But Chase Elliott, I've got 7 wins for him this season. It's going to be close. I think there's going to be a couple guys maybe with 6 or 5, but I think 7 is going to be the win total to mark to beat this season.
I think overall the wins are going to be more spread out this season.
When
you look at the different amount of tracks and stuff, I would be very, very surprised if we get kind of the same thing we saw last year where a couple guys kind of run the show for much of the season.
I hope that's the case because we want to see some competitive nature amongst the field and getting multiple wins for a lot of different drivers.
More 750 horsepower tracks as well, which is a big thing because last year was kind of the 550 horsepower was dominated by a couple guys, and then the 750 was a different mix of people. So I do think that we'll see a more spread out grid this year, which is why my winningest driver only has 6.
Yeah, I went with 7 just because if he wins,
I actually had 7 written down originally, but I said
I actually had an 8 originally written down, but I changed it to 7.
Okay.
I think like he could win like 4 road courses out of the 7, and then I think he could win 3 races elsewhere. But you know, it remains to be seen.
My mind, I went 3 and 3. So
yeah, that's a good good compromise there. We got hopefully he gets either one of us are right with that one.
I could easily see him getting 7 or 8 though, for sure.
For sure. I Chase Elliott, man, going to be one to watch for sure. Let's move on to the underdog winner pick, Kyle. This is a new one. This is a bit of an interesting one.
This is one I tossed out there. So I can take the lead on this one because I had a very specific person in a very specific race in mind when I thought about this one. So my bold underdog race winner pick for the year isn't a first-time winner either. I'm looking to the playoff Talladega race. And I'm going to say Roush Fenway wins that one with Chris Buescher. I'm going to say he goes out and gets his first true victory because he had the Pocono fog race where he won that one. But realistically, that's not him going out and performing to win a race. So I'm going to say Chris Buescher has shown very, very well at super speedway. He's always been in the mix at the end in the top 5. Roush Fenway, they almost won the Daytona 500 last year, for crying out loud. They're always very strong at super speedways as well. I didn't want to go Super Bowl with it and say that he was going to make the playoffs on the win. But I'll say that he goes out and gets the Talladega win in the playoffs with Roush Fenway in that 17.
That's a good pick, Kyle. He showed well on the super speedways for over his entire career, really. Yeah. I went with a little bit of an easier pick on this one. I don't know if you maybe see it coming for the underdog kind of winner pick here, but I'm going with Kurt Busch for this one, and I have a reason why. He doesn't win. He doesn't win a lot, and when he won at Las Vegas this past season, that was an underdog victory. He should not have won that race, but pit strategy won him the race. He got ahead on the late race restarts, and I think Kurt Busch could do it again, and I think it's going to come in the playoffs as well. At Bristol. I think he can get to Bristol.
I love that pick.
Kurt Busch at Bristol.
Okay.
The Busch brothers. Yeah. I think he gets his. I think if I had to put it down, I think Kyle Busch finishes second again in this race, and the Busch brothers finish 1-2, but the reverse order this time around. We saw it at Kentucky, that crazy finish. I think you can see something very similar here. Kurt edges out his younger brother and Kyle. I'm going with that as the Bristol. He won there.
I love that. Yeah.
In 2018, I believe it was. So with the banged up front hood and everything like that, with the silver bear bond on the front of it, I think Kurt Busch, if it is his final season, he's going to go out guns a-blazing. We'll see on that. But if it's not, I still think he goes out guns a-blazing this season. I think he makes the playoffs before this, and I think he gets the win at Bristol in the playoffs.
I do like how we both had playoff races as our bold underdog pick.
They always are crazy, man. There's always something going on, and I think Kurt Busch gets another win tally there at whatever nickname you want to call Bristol. There's so many, and it's going to be the actual Bristol race, the only one on the actual Bristol race track that is normal. I can't emphasize that enough. I think Kurt Busch gets it done and always does a great job around that place. So that's my underdog winner pick.
I love that.
All right, I'll take the lead on this next one here. I don't know how many you have for this one, but I have 2.
Yeah, let's start with how many we have and then get into...
I have 2 first-time winners this season.
I've got 3.
Okay. I feel like there's usually a couple each season or something like that, and I think there's the makings of something like similar to that. I feel like we may have 2 of the same, and then I don't know what you've got for your third one. Yeah. But I'll go first here with the first one, and we have the racetracks as well. Do you have that for where they think? Okay.
Oh, you bet I do.
Okay, I feel like I have some pretty good rationale for mine, but let's get into it. So first off, I've got Christopher Bell winning a race this season for Joe Gibbs Racing.
I do too.
The only reason Adam Stevens is the top of the pit box, and he's going to show why he is one of the best crew chiefs in the garage, and this lack of practice this past season was the only reason that Kyle Busch and Adam Stevens are parting ways. Christopher Bell is getting a snatch. He's getting a steal here with Adam Stevens. I don't know what the heck they're thinking over there at JGR. If you want to see me cry, go check out that episode where we saw that relationship break out. But Christopher Bell, and I think he's going to win before the playoffs start. I think he's going to win his way into the playoffs, and it's going to come at Kansas in the spring. Ooh. Christopher Bell won the race. He runs the wall exceptionally well. He was so good in the Xfinity Series at this track. He won his first career Xfinity Series race here at this track, and I think How poetic would it be if he replaces Eric Jones in the 20 car and gets the win in the 20 car at Kansas, where he beat Eric Jones in the 20 car to win his first Xfinity Series race back in 2017 in the number 18 car then for the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. I think it would be a great storyline. I could see Christopher Bell doing it. I think that 20 car is going to be on rails. Plus, Kyle Busch has run exceptionally well there at Kansas over the past couple of years as well. That setup, I imagine, will translate over to success for Christopher Bell. I think that could happen there that's my first-time winner. I think he goes in to the JGR stable and at least gets one win. Maybe he gets more, but I'm going with at least one.
I like that pick. I also have Christopher Bell winning. I don't have it at Kansas, though. I'm going to take him to win at New Hampshire. He won there twice in Xfinity. He was running there well with Levine Family Racing this year. Before it, I believe they had a tire go down or something like that, and they wrecked out because I think I had him in my fantasy lineup or something like that. I definitely remember him
You had a
doing
rough
well
luck
there.
with Bell this year.
I had some terrible luck with him. But the 2 wins in Xfinity stand out to me, and so I'm taking a swing there. I do like that Kansas pick quite a bit, but I'll take him to get that first win at New Hampshire.
I like that. Kyle Busch just ran well with Adam Stevens there as well. So you think that I was looking at that specifically for Christopher Bell. Where did Kyle run well? And then where can Christopher Bell kind of correlate his talents? Right. Exactly. Right. And I think those are both 2 great exceptions for that. I think New Hampshire is one that maybe people overlook as well. So we'll see if Christopher Bell can get it done. But I do think he wins a race this season. Me too. Yeah. I would be disappointed if he doesn't, to be honest. But, that 20 car, if it continues its historic run here with the number 20 card is maybe he doesn't get into victory lane, but hopefully Christopher Bell can change that. My second first-time winner this season, you're going to like this one.
Okay, good.
Matt DiBenedetto gets in victory lane this season. Contract year. He's on the way out of Wood Brothers. I think he gets them there with 100th career victory as an organization. I think Matt DiBenedetto is going to get a win, man. I don't know. From last season, he finished second a couple of times on the mile and a half, but I don't see him winning it on a mile and a half this season. I think it might be just a little bit too tall of an ask for the 21 car to maybe outduel some of these other teams. So I'm going with Matt DiBenedetto to win one of the Pocono races this season. Ooh. I think he could get maybe that reverse grid kind of thing and potentially win there. I was so close between 2 racetracks here, and I just made the decision as I was talking. Road America and Pocono were the 2 tracks I was looking at. I thought Matt DiBenedetto ran well at Road America when he did some part-time stuff in Xfinity, but I just wasn't 100% certain on that because if there was maybe that lack of practice, if there was no practice, I would probably go with him there. But with the practice, I think some of the other guys can figure it out maybe a little bit better. He's not the greatest road racer, but he's decent. But Pocono, I think Ryan Blaney won there back in 2017 when he got the 99th win.
That would be
poetic. Matt DiBenedetto gets the 100th win at Pocono. I think he's run decently there over the past as well. Not too the numbers aren't too great, I think, but Matt DiBenedetto, I don't know. I got a feeling that Pocono could be the Wood Brothers playground this season, so I'm going to go with him to win one of the races. Whether that's the first or second, that's up to you.
I like it. I also had Matt DiBenedetto to win a race because, of course, I did. I had to.
Yeah.
I also was picking between 2 tracks and 2 very different tracks, I will say. Okay. The first one that I do not have him winning, but I really thought about, Sonoma, because it wasn't on the schedule last year. And that was kind of his first breakout kind of performance with Levine Family Racing there, when he got in the top 5 there. We didn't get to see what it would have been like last year when he was with more improved equipment. Sonoma's a very different road course as well to Watkins Glen. We kind of see some different contenders in each of those. So I thought about giving him the shout there, but instead I'm going to say the redemption arc and that he wins the first Talladega race. It was so close for him there. And then the heartbreak of having the second place finish taken away and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going crazy with my 2 Dega picks this year. The package has been nuts. The finishes have been nuts. So I'm going to take Matt DiBenedetto to win in the regular season at Talladega.
Very good pick there, Kyle. Bravo. I'm glad you stuck to your guns here with Matt DiBenedetto. But you have an extra one here. Who is your third first-time winner pick?
I want to ask you who you think it is. I think the 2 big ones that probably stand out as most likely are probably Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, and probably Tyler Reddick as well. Those are probably the three that you look at.
I was looking at Bubba Wallace and Chase Briscoe, but you can kind of add Tyler Reddick in there with Homestead potentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you want me to answer your question?
What one you think I'm going with?
Is it one of those three?
It is one of those three.
Okay, I thought you were going to be
I'd
like,
be
well, it's none of them.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, I go with Chase Briscoe to win that Bristol dirt race. That's what I'll say that he could potentially do. But I think he's probably gone with Bubba Wallace, but I'll stick with Chase Briscoe here with his rookie campaign.
I am going with Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm not going to say where the race is yet because it's going to spoil a little bit for something later. But actually, no, I'll toss it out now because it's a little bit of a spicy one. I'm going to say Bubba Wallace wins his way into the playoffs at the regular season finale at Daytona. He's a great super speedway racer. He's a great super speedway racer. He's been in contention at Daytona multiple times. I'm not going to go crazy with it and say he wins the 500, but I'm going to say he wins that final race of the regular season. And just like last year with William Byron winning the race and making the playoffs, Bubba Wallace does the same. Wow. Those are my three.
Bravo, good sir. This is gonna. If your season comes to fruition, I am all on board. I will say that. Yeah, this is shaping up, man. I like what you had there. I was so skeptical on the 23. I was like back and forth on if I could. Yep. But the thing is, I couldn't really name a track where I felt like the 23 may break through. That was my thing. But I think Bubba Wallace is capable. Whether he does that this season, a new team, I think it'd be
no clue for that.
One hell of a storyline, man.
I went for the storyline on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Very good one. Very, very good one. So that's the winners done. Let's look at what we've got for the surprise driver of the year. This is a fun one because it's not the bounce back candidate; it's the surprise one. Who maybe can be flying under the radar, or who is not being looked at enough that can maybe be that guy that flies under the radar and gets a really good season underneath his belt. And do you want to take this one here first, or?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first on the surprise driver. I'm going to go with somebody that I didn't have in my first-time winners, but I think he's going to be very consistent all season long and be very close in that conversation for a playoff spot. And that's Tyler Reddick. I think that this year he's going to show even more. I think he's going to exceed Austin Dillon as well at RCR. And I think RCR is going to take another step there. We know about the Hendrick ECR engine alliance. I think they might take a step. And I think in an extremely close battle for the final playoff spots on points, I think Tyler Reddick is going to be leading the way in that charge. So I'm going to say Tyler Reddick, my surprise driver. I really thought about having him win that Homestead race, but Kyle Larson's coming back and he's in a Hendrick car, so that was a tough one for me to go out and predict. But Tyler Reddick, he had some bad luck at times last year. He kind of fell out of that playoff race as the season kind of winded down there in the last 5-6 races. He was in that playoff spot for a while, fell off at the end, had an unremarkable end to the season. I think he comes back stronger, really shows some of that prowess in his second year.
I like that pick. A lot. My surprise driver of the year. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily as much of a surprise per se, but I think it's a guy it's just going to be, I think, really good this year. And it's the guy who's starting on pole for the Busch Clash, and it's Ryan Blaney. I'm going with him as the surprise driver of the year. He's so due for a multi-win season, snake-bitten last year. If he can get past that first round of the playoffs, watch out, man, because the rest of the playoffs, this guy is one to watch. Ryan Blaney is a guy that I think could go and do something similar to what Chase Elliott did last year. I think he may be that season behind, but I think they're very similar in terms of caliber of driver. Ryan Blaney, I think, as much as it pains me to say it for a Penske car, I think he's the one that's going to be leading that stable this season. I'm going to go as far to say that. I think Ryan Blaney is going to be really good this season. He's pretty decent on the road courses, but I think he kind of finally puts it all together at the end of the race and gets that final adjustment where I feel like he's just been lacking. He finally gets that chemistry there. Like Todd Gordon, after this, they're going to be their second season together. It's just going to build off of that momentum that they ended last season with, finishing 6th in that championship finale race as well. So right behind his teammates there, one of the best of the rest behind Jimmy Johnson. He was right there with the rest of those guys. Ryan Blaney is definitely my surprise driver of the year. I think he's going to really shock some people with how well he's going to be doing.
I'm a big fan of that pick. He's somebody that has been due for a while to finally kind of break through into that next tier. He's been kind of in between that like top 8 and kind of the rest of the field for a little bit.
11th range.
Exactly. And I feel like, this could definitely be a year where if he just finishes better, if he has some better luck, gets a couple wins on some mile and a halves, maybe if he picks up another win on super speedways, he might start the year with a win, for crying out loud.
Look how close he was last year.
Exactly. He's a very, very strong pick. All depends on if he can get through that first round, which is a really, really rough one for his skill set. If they don't have that penalty, he probably makes it through and everything like that. So I'm a big fan of that Ryan Blaney pick.
Thank you very much. I'm happy you agree with me there. I'm happy with your Tyler Reddick pick.
We've been very positive, but it's time to get a little bit negative, I do believe.
It is that time of the episode, the biggest disappointment, the honor nobody wants for the upcoming season. This is a tough one for me. I struggle with this one before the episode started. I did not have a person in mind because from this past season, I don't think he could have predicted.
You're a positive guy.
I don't think he could have predicted who the biggest disappointment was, and that was Kyle Busch. Like, it was clearly him last season, and I'm not afraid to admit that. He was disappointing for at least 34 races last season, apart from that Texas race. Really, last season there were some bright spots, of course, but a lot more lowlights than what we're accustomed to from Kyle Busch. So that's the biggest disappointment overall from last season before the preseason stuff that we could never have predicted. But my biggest disappointment for this upcoming season is Ross Chastain in the 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Good pick.
I really don't think he's quite there yet. He didn't win the Xfinity Series, and he fell short in that Truck Series bid for the championship. Had a great season there, don't get me wrong, but last season was very disappointing to my standards. I expected him to really crush that series last season, and he was very consistent, but he didn't get that win. And those wins really, really count towards the success to the next level. We saw that with Daniel Hemrick. He was super consistent in the Xfinity Series, but it never generated to the Cup Series level. It's a little bit different. RCR was a lower standard of equipment back then, of course, but that's just the comparable I look at with Ross Chastain. Plus, that 42 car has, if it didn't have momentum, it didn't have anything at all. That car was trash last season. Matt Kenseth, I feel so sorry for him last season on what he had to deal with. Like, it was just a poor situation he was thrown into. He signed up for it technically, but I don't think he really knew the gravity of the situation over there for that 42 car and how bad it was going to be. That lack of practice didn't help. And I think that lack of practice does hinder that 42 car once again. I think Kurt Busch is going to be really that guy, the consistent guy this season. And I don't think Ross Chastain is the greatest road racer as well. And that's going to take a lot of skill throughout the regular season for him to be in that bubble mix. And he's going to have to compensate for maybe that lack of skill, because we know the road course ringers in the Cup Series. And we have some guys that potentially comes in here on part-time basis. Austin Cindric, AJ Allmendinger, those guys could most likely be there on the road course, taking away from guys that are looking to get those points. I think Ross Chastain is definitely a candidate here for biggest disappointment. I couldn't go with any of the big guys because I feel like it's just too hard to predict something like that. So I went with a guy that's a bit of a bubble guy on the verge of maybe making it or something like that. But I think Ross Chastain, if it wasn't clear enough, I don't think he makes the playoffs this year. So he's my biggest disappointment.
Yeah, the 42 was a perennial playoff car with Kyle Larson, and we saw last year it fall very much back down to earth. And I think Kurt Busch as well is an underrated driver that exceeds the level of Chip Ganassi.
Gets the most out of the car.
Exactly. Yeah. And I do have some concerns for Ross Chastain coming into the season. I also don't have him making the playoffs. I think it's more of an expected thing for him this season, just given where the 42 was last year, maybe more of a build it back up kind of year. But absolutely, I think that that's a very strong pick. When I looked at it for myself, it's kind of tough to make this pick after what happened this past weekend with Tampa Bay winning the Super Bowl, because I'm going with the Florida boy, Aric Almirola. I think that this is a very, very strong crop of drivers this season, a lot more competitive cars as well. And when I'm looking at it here, the way the schedule breaks down, especially in the regular season, not an especially good road course driver. SHR as a whole hasn't been good outside of basically Clint Boyer at road courses these last few seasons. I think Almirola is going to take a big hit there. And as we've talked about many times this over the past year, Aric Almirola basically benefited the most from the qualifying draw last year because he was up in the top 12, and he basically stayed in the top 12 because he was getting a ton of stage points because of those qualifying draws.
Ridiculous.
He could very well go out and win the Daytona 500, punch his ticket through to the playoffs, and I could be completely wrong, but I'm just looking at it here. I'm looking at the rest of the field, and I think Almirola is a very average driver. SHR hasn't been good on road courses, and I think that could culminate in something where he misses the playoffs for myself. So I'm going to say disappointment, Eric Almirola.
Very good pick. He was my second option. I'm going to be completely honest. Yeah,
it also kind of plays into my silly season prediction where I said that he was going to lose his seat.
Makes total sense.
If you want to know who I had replacing him, go watch that video because it's up on its own as well on the channel. So go check that out. But yeah, Eric Almirola, it pains me to do it because he seems like a very nice guy, very likable guy. But I just think his time is kind of up at SHR, and this season might be a little bit more disappointing than it is promising.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I think the road courses are definitely not his strength, and that's a large majority of the regular season. And
it's a huge chunk now. So
yeah, and it's going to come down to a lot of driver ability here to get those points. And you know, maybe he'll get 2 races together out of the 6, but you're going to need at least 4 to put it all together and then still have enough to compensate for that lack of speed that he usually has on the other kinds of tracks. So that's a really good pick there, Kyle. Biggest disappointment, Eric Almirola and Ross Chastain for the both of us. So,
okay, let's get back to the happy times.
Let's get back to the happy times. And I'm pretty happy with this next one here, but you have the first one here with the bounce back driver of the year. Who have you got for this award for 2021?
I was harsh on this guy when we did our driver grades for the to recap last season. You were much more positive about him, but I had higher expectations going to last year. They weren't fulfilled. It was kind of a stagnant year, maybe a little bit lesser, but coming into this year, I think he showed a lot more promise as the season went along, and I think he's going to have a pretty surprising big year. Bounce back driver for me, Willie B himself, William Byron, the 24 Hendrick car. I think he's going to pick up a couple of wins in the regular season. I think he's going to surprise and get a win at a road course as well. He's been a very sneaky driver on road courses. I think he's going to be big this season. I don't know how deep he goes in the playoffs per se, but he also had some bad luck in that first round, having that weird crash that we didn't see a replay of at Bristol that knocked him out. I think think back a couple of years ago when he made it all the way to the round of 8, was it? Like they had a very, very strong season then.
Yeah.
Kind of stagnated last year, where he was very much on that upward trajectory. Last year wasn't as good. This year, I think he gets back on track and has a big season.
Yeah, that's a really good pick there, Kyle. Oh man, that's a really good pick.
Thank you.
I mean, it's self-explanatory who I'm going with. Like my bounce back driver of the year.
I really thought about him.
It's pretty simple. It's Kyle Busch, man. He's got to bounce back this season. There's no way he continues with that incredibly poor pace that he had last season.
Wow.
I'm
kidding.
I'm skeptical of the crew chief change, of course, but I think driver talent, having those select practices throughout the season as well, getting a lot of different seat time across all 3 series throughout the season is going to bode well for Kyle Busch. Oh, man, I really hope he does this, man. I don't know if I can go through another season of heartbreak and basically torture that this past year was. I think he's going to be really, really good. He's a super underrated road course racer. He's always in the mix. He does usually bite himself in the ass at a lot of occasions on the road courses when he gets too aggressive. Something goes wrong, speeding penalty, tire violation, something happens with him, and then he has to drive through the field like a maniac, and then, the car is beat to crap by the time he gets to the front. So it is a bit of a mixed bag of results for Kyle Busch on road courses, but talent alone, I think he'll have a little bit more of a level head this season. If he can start off more positive, then he'll have a better mindset moving throughout the season. That frustration really carried out throughout the rest of the season. So we saw some poor results for him at times, but this is the 2019 NASCAR Cup Series champion. And there's no way that Kyle Busch goes through another season like this. And when I look back at the previous seasons where he struggled similarly to this, 2012 one win, 2014 one win, he bounced back with multi-win years the next year. 2014 to 2015, he won the championship, for God's sakes. 2013 from 2012, he had a great season that year as well, was in championship contention throughout the season. So I think something similar happens to Kyle Busch this season. Maybe he gets another spark lit underneath him here. Like I said earlier, he felt like he had been fired and rehired during the offseason. season. Maybe that sparks something within Kyle Busch, and I'm really hoping that he's going to be bouncing back this season. There's a lot of good candidates for bounce back driver of the year. It depended on if Kyle Busch wasn't here. Of course, I'm paying a little bit of fan favorite here, but I was really looking at Martin Truex Jr. as well as my another bounce back driver of the year, just based off of the 1-win season last year, missing that championship 4. He's due for a bounce back as well. I think Toyota as a whole from that JGR stable, I think you can expect some pretty good things for them across the entire 3 series. We've talked about that quite a bit over the 3 previews here. So I'm going with Kyle Busch as my bounce back driver of the year.
It's a great pick, and it all depends on how the crew chief kind of meshes there, but you can't imagine that he'll only have the 1 win. Again, that'd be pretty nuts. I'm expecting at least 2 wins, probably closer to 3 as well for him this season, and who knows how deep he goes again in the playoffs. The playoffs, based off of his skill set, of course, we know how well-rounded he is, but the playoffs do look pretty good for him when you look at multiple
second round
races.
Is still
like that second,
shaky, but
the second round is the shaky one, but outside of that, you look at those rounds and you're like, he can win basically any of those races. So fantastic pick. I don't know how deep he goes yet. I'm still thinking about some things. I'll say that. But Kyle Busch, excellent bounce back pick.
Yeah, for sure. I've got the first one here. It's the easy one here with Rookie of the Year. It's pretty straightforward. Chase Briscoe gets this award this season. I'd be shocked if he doesn't, if Anthony Alfredo pulls a worldie and gets Rookie of the Year honors. But it is a one-man show, really, for this one this season, unfortunately. Chase Briscoe, the big one, moving up from the Xfinity Series to the Cup Series. The prominent role replacing Clint Bowyer in the 14 car. For Stewart-Haas Racing, won nine races last year, was the odds-on favorite to win the championship. Phoenix just isn't the racetrack for him to get the job done in the end of things on this one-off format, so he didn't quite get the honors of hoisting the championship trophy, but I think he'll have the honors of hoisting the Rookie of the Year trophy, so I'm imagining you have the same here.
Yeah, it would be much more interesting if Ross Chastain was technically a rookie, but of course we know how many Cup starts he's made for backmarker teams over his career, so he does not count. And so Chase Briscoe, he's the easy pick, better team, performed better last year. Yeah, it's the easy one, Chase Briscoe.
Yeah. Okay. Regular season champ, Kyle, before we get into the big stuff with the playoff drivers. Regular season champ is a little bit of a tricky one this series. In this series specifically, there's a lot of different ways you can go. It's just the road courses that I'm really looking at as the big determining factor here in terms of getting that regular season championship, because it is 6 of the 20 or 6 of the 26, so 20 other races left for these guys to try and make up for that lost ground, maybe that they don't get on the road courses. But you go first with this one. Who is your regular season champ for 2021, getting those additional 15 extra playoff points?
Your 2021 regular season champ was also your 2020 full-time champ. Chase Elliott gets the regular season championship. Just when you look at the schedule breakdown, how heavy the road course load is there. When you look at guys like Kevin Harvick that are probably your big contenders,
yeah, that's the thing.
That's going to be a big hit.
He's
and that's
not good
even
on road
including
courses.
The 2 super speedways as well that are hit or miss in there as well. I thought about Denny Hamlin for this one. I think that's probably going to be the 2 that you look at for this one, but I'm going to go with Elliott here.
I'm going with Chase Elliott as well, but I was going with the different Gibbs guy. I was looking at Kyle Busch as the regular season champion, because of the wide range of talent that he has. He's my bounce back guy, but Chase Elliott, I think, is the no-brainer. It's just he just goes across the board and just single-handedly kind of is so consistent on every form right now, and it's hard to bet against Chase Elliott. I mean, something could drastically change here, but I think that ECR and Hendrick alliance this season as well will bode well for them to start the regular season here. We saw that come to fruition a little bit in that championship finale on how that all worked out. I think something similar to that can help him out this season. But the 750 horsepower package on more races this season, I think bodes well more for Kyle Busch, just because of how well he ran back in 2018 when that kind of 750 horsepower package was there. So I'm looking at him to really bounce back, but Chase Elliott is the guy I think across the board that will do the best across all forms of tracks to the regular season. So there we go. Gets the clean sweep. He gets the most wins from both of us, and he gets the regular season championship. Will he be the champion, though? That is remain to be seen. Stay tuned for that. But this is the big one.
Oh,
16 drivers.
Oh.
I have one spot left right now, and
Okay.
I'm still up for grabs for that 16 spot. But 15 guys, I think will be somewhat in line with about at least 13 of them, I'd say. And then maybe those last 3 are up for debate, depending on how you want to look at it. But
probably close to that, yeah.
All right, let's start it off here. Chase Elliott, of course.
Yep, Chase Elliott, a regular season champion, does make the playoffs.
Yep. 3 episods in a row makes the comment. Gotta keep me honest.
Gotta keep it consistent. Gotta keep it consistent.
You gotta look at it. Then we got Kevin Harvick. Yep.
Joey Logano. If you don't have it, there's something big happened. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Joey Logano. Yeah.
Joey Logano. Kyle Busch.
Yes.
He makes the playoffs this season.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, he does make the playoffs. Yep.
Denny Hamlin.
Yep.
Alex Bowman.
Yep.
Brad Keselowski.
Yep.
All right. You take the rest here with what you have for certain.
Okay. Ryan Blaney.
Yes.
I'll go back to Hendrick Motorsports. William Byron.
Yes, I have him making the playoffs.
Okay. I'll skip the other one for now. Martin Truex Jr.
Yes.
Okay. And then, it starts to get a little bit more interesting. Kyle Larson.
Yes.
Okay. And then
I will say on Larson, I think he's going to have a little bit of a poor season than what people are making him out to be. I think people are getting a little bit too high on him, and he's not the greatest with this 550 horsepower package. He's going to be better with the 750 horsepower package.
I think we're going to have some high highs and some relatively low lows.
He's not the greatest road racer. He's good on qualifying, but that doesn't matter this season.
Yeah, it's not going to be a consistent thing. It's going to be either like winning a race or like top 5, or I think some disappointing results. And so, I think he grabs a win or 2 throughout the season. But I don't know about the consistent level. This is the 48
car, everybody. This is the 48 car that missed the playoffs the last 2 years. So,
yes.
I mean, we can't put too much stock into Kyle Larson. Of course, he's a phenomenal race car driver, but I just want to push the brake, pedal the brakes a little bit here, just so you don't get too high on Kyle Larson. The expectations are unachievable for this guy.
I think from here it gets interesting because you've got some cars that have some new faces and new places. That might have missed the playoffs last year or anything like that. There's some guys that made the playoffs last year that might be closer to the edge this season. So I think from here, let's go back and forth.
Okay, so we've got Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., and William Byron. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that
there
is
should
11,
be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just move my things around so it's in order.
Okay. So I'll take the first one, and it's one or there's a couple that I've already spoiled from some winner picks, but I'll start with somebody who made the playoffs last year, won a race in the playoffs.
Yes.
They're the leader of the team. I think they'll be very strong again. I don't think that they'll win a race in the regular season, but I think they'll make it on points, and that's Kurt Busch.
Yeah. I have him making the playoffs. I have him winning a race in the playoffs. I think he can maybe get 2 wins this season. That may be a bit tough to ask, but I think he's just the super consistent guy. And, I've got Kurt Busch as my 12th guy making the playoffs. Yeah, the
consistency is the big part. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 13. I've got a guy that I think is going to win this season. Like you said, it's a guy we both talked about, Christopher Bell. I think he's going to make the playoffs this season. As the season went on last year, you can see the confidence building for Christopher Bell in the 95, and I think that kind of translates into success for the 20 car. He could definitely be the surprise driver of the year as well for me. I think he could be a candidate for that. Adam Stevens, man, I'm telling you, he got one heck of a steal with this crew chief, and I think that's going to bode well for Christopher Bell in his first year at JGR.
For sure. Alrighty. Somebody else that I said would win a race earlier, Matt Benedetto. I think he makes the playoffs again. I think they build on last season and look better. Maybe in terms of consistency, they kind of fell a little bit short as the regular season went along and had a disappointing first round. Rebounded a bit after that, but I think that they have some higher highs this season.
Yeah, I have Matt Benedetto. I have him winning a race this year as well. So that's 14. These last two spots. So we're the same through 14.
Yeah.
We know one of your guys because of what you said a little bit earlier on.
Yes.
So it's whether or not you have this guy that I have locked in right now. I'll just say my 15th guy right now, the guy that I'm for sure. I'm going with Chase Briscoe as my 15th guy this year to make the playoffs. It's going to be so marginally close for him to make it. I could totally see him missing, but that 14 car has been consistently in the playoffs and on points. He's a good road racer. If he wasn't, I would definitely have him out of the playoffs. But Chase Briscoe, if he can continue that strong success, that 14 car is good on road courses. I think it makes sense for Chase Briscoe to excel on that. That Bristol Dirt as well is always a wild card. He could do something with that and potentially win there and lock himself in. Not to say that Bell or Larson or even Briscoe are the three favorites for sure going into that, but yeah, I think Chase Briscoe is going to make the playoffs in his rookie season. I think he could be an impressive guy to watch. Could it be, hit or miss on some things, but the tracks that he was really good in the Xfinity Series, I think, translate over to the Cup Series.
I do not have Chase Briscoe in my playoffs here because he's a rookie. And let's not forget that rookies typically struggle quite significantly in the Cup Series. We had 3 big-name rookies step in last year. We all had high expectations for them, and they all struggled to different degrees. Christopher Bell was in the worst equipment. It would have been tough for him to make the playoffs unless that team saw a big jump in competitive level. We didn't see that. You can kind of push that one to the side. For Cole Custer, he won a race, but outside of that was nowhere near playoff quality. And for Tyler Reddick, he was consistent, but wasn't consistent enough, and he missed the playoffs as well. When I look back at some of the Rookie of the Year guys as well, Custer won the race, but finished 16th, bottom of the playoff guys. Past that, nobody else since 2013 made the playoffs except for Chase Elliott, who did it on consistent performance. I don't think Chase Briscoe was kind of that level. So, and especially in a tough year, I really wanted to find a way to do it. But as a rookie, I just couldn't do it. So Chase Briscoe misses out for me.
Imagine if this was 12 drivers, Kyle. We would be absolutely screwed.
God.
If this was trimmed to 12, we'd be in a world of mess. Like this is tough. This is tough. And 16 is a lot of drivers to make the playoffs, and this is
So I'll go with my guy that we already know that I haven't, and that's Bubba Wallace. I think that they'll be close on points going into that final race. They'll be in the conversation. And I think that they'll go out and win that Daytona race. I'm going bold with the storyline, but there's also a couple other races that they've got a shot at winning throughout the season, whether it's the super speedways, whether it's Martinsville, which Bubba Wallace has been extremely, extremely strong at. I think that they're going to be consistent throughout the year, maybe build as the season goes along as you would expect for a new team. I think the 550 mile and a halves are going to be where they struggle a decent amount. Boy. He's not great on road courses either, but I think he's going to get a win at some point and book his ticket to the playoffs.
Oh my God!
It's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan.
That's a good pick. That's a really good pick. Oh my God!
That's the one. What I'll say is that's the one that I feel least confident about.
Well, I don't know who my 16th guy is right now, so I'm least confident.
Go with my number 16 guy and throw it over to you afterwards.
You know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
He's my surprise driver of the year because he makes the playoffs on points. Tyler Reddick makes the field as the number 16 guy here for me. I think that RCR is going to see another uptick in performance. I think they're going to have another car in the playoffs. Last year was Austin Dillon because of the win. This year, I think Reddick takes another step in his second year here and is very consistent, has some really high points. I'm looking at Homestead as potentially a race that he could go out and surprise and win. Tyler Reddick makes the field as number 16 for me.
Oh my God. I am so torn right now. There is 3 guys I'm looking at for this final spot.
Talk me through it.
Eric Almirola, Bubba Wallace, and Tyler Reddick are my 3 guys right now I'm looking at.
Okay.
The thing is, all of these guys are pretty bad on road courses, and there's no guy that is kind of in that point situation that is really good on road courses, and that's the dilemma that I'm facing. And I never thought that it would come down to the road courses being the defining factor here for making this 16th spot, but that's why I went with Briscoe for those road courses.
Yeah.
And Almirola, Bubba Wallace, man, like that's almost a 5th JGR car. Like It's so hard to think that they
To
may
be fair,
not
we
make
don't
it.
know. We don't know. It could be something that's closer to Levine Family Racing in year one, and they build as the season goes along, or it could be literally a fifth GGR car out of the box. We have no clue.
I think it's going to happen sooner. It may not happen right out of the gate, but I think by race 10, they will be closer than what Levine gets to the end of the season.
That's a lot of time to miss as well, especially with the road courses, which he isn't good at. Like, I don't know, man. Where are you going? We need a pick here, sir.
I'm going to make my decision here. I don't think it's Eric Almirola that makes the playoffs this season. I think similarly that he is going to be a bit disappointing this season. Oh, my God. You know what? It's such a big storyline. I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace as my 16th guy.
Okay.
It was between Reddick and Bubba Wallace for me. If that ECR package does come together, then Reddick, I think, is going to be more of a favorite than Bubba Wallace because I think Reddick may be a better driver than Bubba. But I think Bubba's got a lot to prove this season, and he's got a lot of expectations on his shoulders, and that momentum that he built from last season, that hunger that he has, not just because he has DoorDash and McDonald's as a sponsor, but he's going to have Bubba Wallace going to be a guy it's just going to be behind the wheel and just going for it. I don't know if he wins a race. I think he can maybe point his way in. I think it's a bit too much to ask to maybe win, but we'll see on that. So that's my 16 guys. So one difference between the two of us and 16 guys. That's actually closer than I thought it would be. But with these guys coming in this year, there's no real weak spot in those big organizations, it seems, compared to previous years. And I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I think if I were to make one change for it, I would say Bubba Wallace doesn't get the win. They don't point the way in, and I'd have Briscoe in there. Instead, Briscoe's my number 17 guy. But in total from last year, I have Austin Dillon, Cole Custer, Eric Almirola, and then the 14 car, which was Boyer last year. Briscoe this year missing out from playoff cars from last year. And in their place, I have Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, and Kyle Larson.
All right, I'm going to have to do the math on what I just had. Okay, so I have Christopher Bell making it this year in the 20 car because
so
Eric
you've
Jones
got
didn't. Almirola missing, Cole Custer missing, Austin Dillon missing, and that's 3. And then I have Briscoe making it, so I've only got 3.
So you've got the 3 there, Dillon, Custer, Almirola missing.
Larson for the 48 as well.
Yeah. And then Larson, Bell, and Wallace stepping in because the
Briscoe,
14 car,
technically
new driver, but same playoff car. So
yeah, I think I doubt that it's going to be the exact same, man. There's totally some movement on the cards. Let's not forget some other guys that could potentially make it as well. We've got some interesting names that could make it. Ross Chastain, Eric Almirola, of course. Almirola is a big one to kind of miss out on, but he's pretty trash on road courses, so that doesn't bode well for him this season. And the 1.5 mile package for that 10 car is just kind of lackluster at times as well. So we'll see on that. Cole Custer is an interesting one. Maybe he can have a better sophomore season, but a win is going to be a bit unlikely compared to with the talent. He needs a big
step up if he's going to make it in on points or anything like that. And I didn't see enough from him in terms of any specific performance outside of a final restart at Kentucky that would suggest that winning a race again this year would be likely or anything like that. So that one was a pretty easy one for me.
Yeah, and the RCR duo of Reddick and Dillon. I think either of those guys can make it. Dillon
I think one of the two make it. Yeah,
always has a flair for the dramatics in terms of getting a win here or there. If he gets another crown jewel, I wouldn't put it past him just because of how frequently he does it, it seems, on such off strategies. Yeah. I think it was so difficult for me to not put an RCR car in there just because of this added alliance with Trackhouse, and I think that there's projection there to them to get back to a little bit similarly to better days, what the organization was used to. It's just difficult with that 5th JGR car is what I'm looking at it as. Maybe that doesn't actually come to fruition and I could just be way off. But Reddick and Dillon. Then you could look at the Roush Fenway duo, Newman and Busher. They're both pretty good on the super speedways. You have
Busher is underrated on road courses as well.
Yeah. For sure. And then Daniel Suarez as well, kind of tying in with that ECR selection there with RCR. He could be one that can maybe sneak something. You never know. I just
don't know what to expect from Trackhouse. Like if I knew that they were going to be close to RCR level, then I think about him as well. Because again, he's a guy that's got a well-rounded skill set as well. But I just couldn't bet on them not knowing what to expect from that team.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on a super speedway as well could definitely do something. Eric Jones is another one. Maybe he can surprise something in that 43 car. And I know you have another guy as well to your short list.
Yeah, I've got a very interesting name there. And obviously we mentioned Ryan Newman as well, who equally could go out and win a super speedway.
A couple of feet away from winning it last year.
Yeah. don't sleep on Michael McDowell potentially going out and surprising on a road course. We've seen in the past some teams put a lot of emphasis. Yeah, put a lot of emphasis on the road courses for some of those mid-pack teams. Think JTG with AJ Allmendinger is the big one. Michael McDowell is sneaky good on road courses, and especially with Road America being added, that's one of the better road courses that he's been at, especially when you look back to Xfinity. Don't sleep on that guy at road courses. They're going to have to swing big at some point. Maybe they don't go out and get like the stage points or anything like that and have big a points day, but I think they'll be in the conversation inside the top 10 a couple times at road courses this year and potentially in position to maybe steal a win.
That's a good one. He impressed last season. He had his best season in the Cup Series to date, and maybe he continues that into 2021. Sure. All right, we're into the final ones here, Kyle. Championship 4 and the champion for 2021. Oh, boy. Let's go back and forth here because you really can go 4 different guys for this, to be honest, for this entire championship 4. Nothing's for certain. If it wasn't clear, this past year was as clear a case as any with Kevin Harvick missing out on that championship 4 after the abomination that happened at Martinsville where they just completely missed the setup. The strategy was wrong, and the guy that dominated the entire season did not have a shot at going for the championship after collecting 9 wins on the season. It's crazy to think that he did not make it. Seemed like the impossible task, but he ended up making it possible. So does something actually similar happen this season? Let's find out. So what have you got for your first?
Before I dive into some of my picks, I just want to give some background to how things have gone since we've had this championship 4 format. It's kind of crazy when I looked at this, actually. 4 times out of the 6 since that inaugural season, only 1 championship 4 driver from the previous year returned. 2015, only Harvick returned. 2016, only Kyle Busch returned. 2017, again, only Kyle Busch returned. And then this past year, only Denny Hamlin returned. The 2 other times, 3 of the 4 returned. In 2018 and 2019. 2 of the times there, 3 of the 4 returned. So it's kind of either been like one guy returns and nobody else, or a bulk of them return. And honestly, I don't know which way to go. I'll be honest, I split the difference. I'm going to say 2 from last year return and 2 new ones are in there. So I just want to give that precursor as well. It's a little bit of history.
Okay, then I might as well give mine as well then. I've got 1 returning and 3 new.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll start with the one that I think you have returning.
Okay.
And I could be wrong on this, but Chase Elliott. Yes. He's going to pick up a lot of playoff points from those road course races. I think he's going to be strong in the playoffs as well. He was my first name down in my championship 4.
Yeah, I've got Chase Elliott as well.
Wow. Okay.
He's my only guy that stays the same this year. I think that those 3 guys that were partnering him last year, it was that off year that we've seen a couple of times where the big dogs like Harvick and Kyle Busch and Truex and some of these guys were not there. And that's usually the case for a one-off season. And I think that trend continues. So I'm going with Chase Elliott as the guy, the defending champion, has a chance to reclaim his trophy and defend it.
Well, you sir, go next? Take your next one and we'll see if it's okay. So I have 1 name written down. I have 2 more names written down, and then I don't know who my last one is going to be quite yet.
Okay.
So I'll just say that.
I am the same. I have to be honest. Okay. I have to be completely honest. Okay, so my next guy is going to come from the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. I think he has a bounce-back season this year. I'm going with Martin Truex Jr. to make the championship 4. Okay. I think he wins that last Martinsville race and gets redemption for this past year. He's super good there. I think he's going to be second to Chase Elliott on the road courses so he can get some stage wins there. If they prioritize that strategy this season, they didn't do that last year. I think they'll refocus that narrative and that the goal of trying to get some stage points this year to carry some playoffs through to the playoffs. I think that they'll be looking at that a little bit more this year on a consistent basis. Martin Truex Jr. is due for a bounce-back season. I like the playoff races for him. I think a 1.5 mile resurgence is due for that 19 car. He's in a contract year. Usually athletes do well in a contract year. I think Martin Truex Jr. makes it to the championship 4.
As painful as it is for me to do, I'm going to say MTJ is out in the round of 8. I don't have him making it through again. I think last year with James Small, I think they probably build on that this year. but I don't know. There's something about it. I just don't feel it this year. So I'll go to somebody that I know you don't have because they were in it last year, and you said that you only have one returning guy.
Yep.
I'm going to say Denny Hamlin goes back. I just can't bet against them. They've been too good recently. He's a guy that as well has been pretty solid on road courses. Doesn't have the mega win totals or anything like that, but he was right there at the end of the Daytona road course this year. I think he could show well this year again. So Denny Hamlin is the other returning driver to my championship 4.
Okay. I think Hamlin is a little overrated in my opinion. I think he's not the greatest passer, and he does not lead a lot of laps. He comes on late in the finish, and I think if you do that too much, we saw what happened in the playoffs as that team struggled down the stretch, and he did not regain that early season form that he basically alternated with Kevin Harvick with wins throughout the season. I think he takes a step back this season. The rest of JGR catches up to him this year, so I don't have Denny Hamlin making my championship 4 for those reasons I've just stated. Going without the 2 Penske cars in Logano and Keselowski, 2 mainstays, is very, very difficult for me to not put at least one of them in, but I have their teammate making it to the championship 4. It's my bold prediction. I think Ryan Blaney has an exceptional campaign.
I really thought about it.
On the regular season, he gets through that first round, which is the biggest problem, the biggest hurdle in his way. And from there, I think it could be smooth sailing for Ryan Blaney to go to the championship 4. Very similar to what Chase Elliott did last year. He just needs that breakthrough round. And from there, I think Todd Gordon, a championship winning crew chief, he passes over the torch. Like I said earlier on, Penske, I think it's going to be coming over to Ryan Blaney this season. He's my 3rd guy making the championship 4 in 2021.
I really like that pick. I really, really thought about him. You know what? He's still even on my short list of guys that I might have in. I'm not going to lie.
You're down to 1 here, sir.
No, I've got 2 more.
No, you have 2.
I got 2 more.
Yeah, you don't have MTJ. That's right. Sorry.
My 3rd guy here. I don't know how to feel about this one, but I think that he gets a little bit of redemption from last year. Just given the circumstances, he was 1 pass away from being locked in after the first race and everything like that. The chaos that was Kansas in that finish.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Harvick is in my championship 4. It was insane that he didn't make it last year. Like, it was bonkers. The guy was the winningest driver. He had an insane season, and somehow the math made it so that he didn't make the championship 4. It was stupid. I'm going to say they get a little bit of redemption this season and they make it. I don't know if they'll win the thing, but Kevin Harvick back in the championship 4.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
And now we get to the last one.
I am so undecided right now. My last guy.
I have 2 names written down. I'm not going to say them yet.
I have 2 names as well.
But
I'm curious to see what you have for your 2.
I'm really like.
Do you want to talk this out between the 2 of us?
Sure. Okay. What are the names you're thinking between here?
Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch.
Okay. The names I'm thinking about between here are Mr. Busch and Alex Bowman. I think, I'm looking at it. Alex Bowman is a sneaky good road course guy, especially at the Charlotte Roval. He was extremely good in the playoffs last year. I feel like he's bringing some momentum there. They got the 48 name now. I think there's something there, but Kyle Busch as well. But it's Ben Beshore, and I don't know what to expect there. You know what? Screw it. Last year, Hendrick had the breakout guy in Chase Elliott. They have another breakout guy, Alex Bowman, championship 4, locking it in.
Okay.
What I'll say is originally I was thinking about Kyle Larson, but when I looked into it a little bit more, I don't think he's going to build up the playoff points. And for him isn't a good round at all. When you look at some of his past stats, some of his
Kansas he's pretty good at, but besides that, that's his only saving grace.
Lowest average finish Martinsville and Texas. So unless he turns that around coming into this year, and he has had at least like a top 10 at Martinsville or whatever, but you need to be a lot more than kind of meh at those tracks to make it through if you're not going to win a race. I don't really see a win there necessarily for Larson, maybe Kansas, but that's a 550 track as well. So Larson, I don't have making it through. I think he'll make it to the round of 8. I don't have him going all the way. Alex Bowman, I'll say he does it. Breakout year.
Wow. You don't have Keselowski or Logano either.
Nope.
Interesting.
Penske shutout.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Oh, my God. All right. I'm locking it in. My fourth and final guy for the championship. I'm going with my guy. I think Kyle Busch gets back to the championship for this year. The only reason I say that is I think he will accumulate more playoff points throughout the regular season than Kevin Harvick will this year. I
agree.
I just think Harvick on the road courses is so far from being where he is his best, and that's going to really hurt him. And if SHR is not good on road courses at all, apart from maybe Chase Briscoe, you look at him maybe spearheading that ship on those types of tracks this year.
Yeah,
I think Harvick could maybe take that step back, and I think he's due for one. I think these past couple of seasons, he's just been so on fire. It has to stop at some point, it seems, and I think this year might be the year that actually happens with this schedule change. It might throw them for a loop. I think they will be stronger in the playoffs than they will in the regular season. I think we'll see the true form of that 4 car. But like we saw with the 11 car this past year and the 4 car in the playoffs, they weren't up to their full potential. And I think that happens again. And I think the 18 car gets stronger as the year goes on, as they become more accustomed to Ben Bayshore and Kyle Busch. They cannot be throwing these prime years away for Kyle Busch. They're going to make a concerted effort to get a championship 4 appearance for him this year. And I say he does it. I think he bounces back. He's my bounce back guy and my surprise driver of the year.
It was really tough leaving Kyle Busch out.
Yeah, I have to. I just can't do it
too
again.
Much. Yeah, the Bayshore thing is just too much of a question mark for me, but I could easily see a scenario where he's like the number 1 guy going into the final race. So
yeah.
Alrighty. Done and dusted. There we go.
Oh, yeah. We don't have anything else to do, right? No champion. No. We don't need to predict that. No.
I don't think we need to.
I don't think we do either.
I don't know who to pick.
All right. Let's give folks a reminder of what we have so far, just because that was a long-winded championship 4 prediction. But for myself, I've got Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Busch, a totally new championship 4 apart from the defending champion.
I've got Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin returning to the championship 4. Kevin Harvick makes his way back through, and Alex Bowman breaks out into the championship 4.
Man, oh man. I really wanted to make sure I had manufacturer representation, because I think all 3 manufacturers make it to the championship 4.
Yep.
It's just which drivers make it. So, all right, man. Let's go. I don't know. Do you want to go 4 to 1? I don't know.
4 to 1, sure.
4 to 1? Okay.
Let's do that.
I'll go first for this one.
Okay.
In terms of the 4th guy. I think Martin Truex Jr. finishes 4th in my championship 4. Just not quite there with James Small yet, but I think they have a strong year, road courses and all, and I think that they'll have a bounce back year. I think he's worthy of that, and I think he goes out there and finishes 4th in the championship finale.
I appreciate the effort to make it through to the final race, but outside of kind of that debut kind of breakout race, Bowman hasn't really been fantastic at Phoenix. It is the Arizona boy, the home track, so that would be quite the storyline, but especially against those other 3, I can't put him ahead of any of them, so Bowman will be my number 4.
Okay. All right. Now it gets tough.
I don't want to do. Oh man, this is so tough. Okay. I'll go next. We'll do like a snake style here.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 for me, Denny Hamlin.
Okay.
Denny Hamlin. Like, I wanted to pick him for the championship, but
I don't think he does it, man. I honestly don't think
he's there.
They
haven't shown that clutch factor. And last year was kind of the year that it was theirs to take, especially with Harvick missing, and they didn't show it. So I have a tough time banking on them again to go out and do the thing. I have them making the thing, but they don't do the thing. So Denny Hamlin finishes 3rd in my championship 4.
Oh, man. That's tough. That's real tough. Finishing 3rd in my championship, I'm going with Ryan Blaney to finish third in the championship four. For me, I could even pick him as my champion, to be honest. It's just, I think it's that close between these three with Blaney, Busch, and Elliott. But I think there's added reason, as I'll get to in a second here, as to why I have the front two first. But Blaney, just going to be that little bit step behind. It's going to be his first championship four appearance. They usually do well when they go in their first championship four appearance, so I could definitely see him breaking through as that guy this season. I would not be surprised if Ryan Blaney's holding the trophy at the year's end, but I think it may take that one extra year for Blaney to follow through. He's been exceptional at Phoenix in his young career. He could totally do it, but I think the two ahead of him are going to be guys that are just going to be a little bit too tough to beat.
Yeah, I like the Blaney pick making the championship four. I really, really thought about doing it. I think that there's going to be another young guy that makes the championship four this year. For me, it was Bowman that goes out and does it. Could very easily be Ryan Blaney in that case. I similarly agree. I don't think if he does make it, he's going to be up there in the upper echelon. But I'm just trying to stall. Oh man.
I mean, you have to go here next because then it gives away my champion if I go next. So we'll just get down to our final guy here with.
Let's do our championship because saying our second guy is pointless.
Okay. So who do you have left? You've got Harvick and
Kevin
Elliott.
Harvick versus Chase Elliott, and you have Kyle Busch versus Chase Elliott.
Oh man.
Who's going first here?
I don't know. I don't care. Honestly, you decide.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll go first. Kevin Harvick is the guy at Phoenix. Sometimes we didn't see
recently
it in the championship race. We didn't see it last year as a whole. We didn't really see it. It was kind of Denny Hamlin as the guy when the two were still going there. But if you look historically, he's been very, very strong at that track. Less so since the kind of reconfiguration, even though it's the same track, just in different corner numbers. Versus Chase Elliott, who went out and showed up the field kind of last year. I don't have Kevin Harvick going out and winning the championship. Chase Elliott goes back-to-back. We are entering the era of Chase Elliott. Hendrick dominance is back. I like Chevy this year. I like them on the 750 horsepower package. Chase Elliott's going back-to-back.
Okay.
Do it. I know you want to. Do it.
I'm going to do it, and I have a reason why. I'm going with Kyle Busch as my 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, not because I just want it to happen. Shout out Kyle Busch 2019, but it's funny that we have our championship shirts on for the guys that we picked to win the champion. Yeah. The key for me here is practice. We're talking about practice. And if Kyle Busch makes it to that championship four, the best element of him as a race car driver is building over the weekend. And if he has practice, and if they don't unload necessarily the top of the notch, they have practice to fix it this time. There's nothing stopping them from fixing it this time around. That's going to be huge. I think with the rookie crew chief, it's going to light a fire under Kyle Busch. I think it's going to kind of come down to the driver with 70% crew chief, 30. Kyle's going to have to compensate for that a little bit earlier on. But I think if you start strong a little bit earlier on, it'll correlate to a better playoffs, because I think that middle season stretch, there's a lot of tracks that may not respond to what the playoffs are. It's more
we saw it with Alex
the early
last
season.
Year. Started really strong, faded as the regular season went on, and playoffs turned around, and all of a sudden he was fantastic again.
And when you win the most races in a season, they typically don't win the championship. And I think that continues to be the case. Kyle Busch, the magic number to win a championship is 5 wins to me, and I think he gets 5 wins this season. He won it in both of his championships. He won 5 races, and I think Chase Elliott won 5 races last season. I think that trend continues with that magic number being 5, his old number being 5 with the Hendrick Motorsports days. It all culminates into this perfect storyline where Kyle Busch, he was my last guy into the championship for. I think he upsets everybody and wins the championship with that added practice. If they didn't have practice, Chase Elliott is my champion. But with this practice, it's going to be a huge deal breaker.
You make a damn good argument, I got to say.
I'm going with it. And that was the storyline this year. Everybody on any network, Kyle Busch needs practice. That's the thing that he needs. Well, if he makes it to the championship 4, guess what we have? we have practice, everybody. So I'm going with him as my 2021 champion. I just can't bet against him. I think if he has 2 bad years in a row, we're talking about something greater here. But I don't see that happening. I think he may struggle here and there, but overall, I think he's going to be right there with Chase Elliott for part of the season. Chase, I think it's so hard to go back-to-back in any sport, and I think he just doesn't quite get that done. It's going to be the championship battle for the ages, in my opinion, between
We've
if it's
literally
Kyle
never seen back-to-back champions in this format.
Exactly. It's so hard to do on this one-off race. It's so hard to execute for 2 years in a row at the same racetrack.
Hell, the last time we saw somebody win the championship and then even make the Final Four the year after was 2017 to 2018 when Truex won in 2017, made it again in 2018 because Logano in 2019 missed. Kyle Busch obviously this last year missed. It's very volatile. We've seen it. There was 2 years that we saw in 18-19 where 3 of the 4 returned the following year. Outside of that has all been one guy returning, and I think we could see a return to kind of that volatile championship force, especially with the amount of championship caliber names as well. Like we haven't mentioned Keselowski, Logano for myself. I don't have a Penske in there. You have Ryan Blaney breaking out in there. Yeah. When you look at some of the other Hendrick names, Kyle Larson is always sneaking around there. There's a lot of fantastic drivers, and it's going to be one hell of a season.
Yeah, and one more thing for the Kyle Busch thing to really drive it home. 2014, he got knocked out in the round of 12. He won the championship the next season after a crew chief shakeup. I see a similar pattern here in the making here with Ben Bayshore. I was skeptical
Hopefully
of the move.
He doesn't have to break any bones as well.
That would be nice if he could just do it a little bit easier this time. But yeah, I'm going with that. Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, the champions for 2021 between myself and Kyle. Going to be one heck of a season, everybody. I can't stress that enough.
I can't wait.
It's just going to be bonkers. It's just going to be absolutely insane. When Fox puts out the possibility of best season ever, there is that, I don't want to jinx it, but there is the possibility of that happening. So lots of great categories. If you've watched with us from the beginning, thank you very much. It's been a very much a pleasure to watch and go through these previews and do the research a little bit and dive deep. The Cup Series preview, the big one, the thing that we're the most passionate about on this show, NASCAR, it's definitely been a lot of fun to try and delve into this a little bit deeper. And it's really our first big season preview on this show. So we've done it right. I think we've done it justice. It all comes down to the drivers, and it starts this upcoming weekend at Daytona. You have any final thoughts before we wrap up today's show, Kyle?
Oh, this was fun. I can't wait to be extremely wrong about everything. I can't wait for this season to be dominated by 2 guys once again, and for us to be completely out to lunch and everything like that. But no, it's everything has the makings of one of the best seasons we've seen in a long time, whether that's the schedule, whether that's the storylines, new faces and new places, new teams for crying out loud. There's a lot of really fun stuff to watch coming this season. And it's kind of crazy to say that by the time this show is posted and done, I guess technically right now for myself, because I'm on the East Coast.
Yes, it is.
We've got it's race day tonight. It's race day, baby.
It's race day. Oh man. Thank you so much for everybody who's watching. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. We'll have some clips from this one as well. It's going to be a fun one in store. We've got the social media really coming back to form as well. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Green Flag. We'll be getting some new graphics and stuff like that over the course of the season. We'll be doing something fun with that. We'll also follow us on Twitter at The Green Flag Pod. Will be more active on there as the season rolls along with more updates and everything. During the races itself, it's going to be one heck of a ride, and it's going to be all here at the Green Flag. Going to be one heck of a season. Enjoy the racing, everybody. For this episode, I've been Lukas Wacker. He's been Kyle Cushman. Signing off for now. We will talk to you later this week in our special 4-episode edition of the Green Flag, where we recap the Busch Clash, the qualifying of the Daytona 500, as well as preview the duels and give you a quick review of the duels as well in the next episode. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Enjoy the racing. It's great to be back. NASCAR is back. What a season we have in store. Enjoy the racing, everybody.